How's it going, crypto community? Welcome to one of my back of the envelope thoughts, I guess, since this is me talking about a topic that a lot of people in my community have asked me to touch upon, and that topic is how to get your ducks in a row in this ecosystem. Apologies for the background, but at any rate, this question regarding, exit strategies and how to approach managing your sudden gains that you may see in the next few months, right? So how I'm approaching this is keeping the intention to keep the mass majority of my digital assets that I currently possess. And ultimately, my idea isn't to leave the digital asset market. And again, this is my personal view, and people are asking for my opinion, and so my opinion is my personal view, what I intend to do in this ecosystem, right? So, real quick, if you are interested in this kind of content, before I jump more into this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you can stay up to date with all the content that I produce and I'm going to continue to produce for you. Now, also, don't forget to hit that like button. Now, let's jump right back into how this is going to play out, right? So, for me, I see this as an ecosystem that's going to have multiple waves over multiple years, where we're going to see certain points in time where certain cryptocurrencies do fantastic, and there's going to be points where most all cryptos synchronize up and are all doing really great together as well. But there's also going to be future bear markets. This isn't just a one-up and done kind of deal. Just like the fact that we are coming to the end of a bear market right now, this is going to go up, it's going to peak, and then it's going to come down. The question is, where's the top? Nobody knows, right? That's the big question. Nobody will know. Now, my attempts right now are to guess what the bottom of those waves will be, right? So, anybody that saw my last video on my price prediction video, the value that we came up to is a utility value, right? That's not based upon investment perspective, like any real increase in investment from the private investors, aka you and me, the person listening to this, and me, just a regular Joe. Again, not an investment advisor, but and I want to keep emphasizing that because what I'm sharing is just my plan, and you can say it's delusional or whatever you want. But my view is this ecosystem is brand new and it's only going to mature, and as it matures, it's going to gain value over time, especially against traditional fiats. So anybody that's country uses fiat right now, hey, this is a great way to make money because unlike fiat, most of these digital assets, well, the good digital assets have a fixed amount. They're not going to never have more than a certain fixed amount in their ecosystem, right? Now, to get back to the point of how this is going to play out because of these waves, right? The way I see it is that certain industries are going to enter first, and then they're going to be followed by other industries, and then other industries, and then other industries. And the order is not so much dependent upon the rate of adoption as much as the barriers to entry that will exist until, in some cases, some of these industries are implemented first to enable the other industries to then integrate into this ecosystem, this new digital economy, right? This new global digital economy, and it's global too. Everybody needs to keep that in mind too. We're not talking about just all the dollars in existence. We're not just talking about all the euros in existence. We're talking about all the dollars, the euros, the yens, the wons, the pesos, all of them collectively. That value, plus all the loan value and mortgage value and lending value and all all that's going to be pulled into this too. All of it. Because what are digital assets? They're currencies, they're liquid assets. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important to understand about these things that you're holding. They're liquid, meaning you can distribute them in very small quantities of value and still hold on to portions even, right? And they maintain a store of value, meaning meaning you can share your value, whatever that is, whether that's information or just straight, exchange of currency. Because everybody needs to keep in mind that this is a digital currency, not just a regular run-of-the-mill paper dollar. This is codable money that can be coded to represent tangible things. You can write for example, you can have a certificate of ownership for a painting coded, smart contracted to a ledger, and now that painting's value is instilled in that certificate of ownership, which is then added to the value of that blockchain, whichever that's on, which will ultimately be within a larger ecosystem. Now, there's going to be a base, a overarching liquidity net, and that's up for debate which that is, whether it will be Bitcoin or XRP or some other one. But my belief, obviously, as my channel would indicate, is that it's XRP, and that's my green duck, right? And this is why we get to the really terrible picture that you're looking at, right? Why are you all looking at like this picture that doesn't even fit to my screen with these 5 ducks and 1 green? Because the green duck represents the majority of my current holdings. And it also works out kind of nicely for when we're talking about waves, right? The first wave, 2017, that was the first real wave of innovators, right? That brought the altcoin revolution. That was 2017. So that's the wave of innovation, is this yellow duck. And that was Bitcoin's wave, because it was the big one, and it was what exposed all of us in this ecosystem to, well, not all of us, but many of us in this ecosystem, to all the altcoins, just learning about Bitcoin and then this blockchain thing, and then all the altcoins that had sprung up over 2015 to 2017. Now, we're going into the next wave. The next wave is the early adopter / institutional / smart money wave. This is going to be perhaps the largest, if not the second largest wave. It's hard to say because of how much money is actually behind the institutions involved in this versus how much is actually left in the mass majority. But at any rate, this particular wave is going to be targeting primarily institutional adoption, and that's why that's something that's been so big to many of us in the XRP community, because we realize that's what this next wave is. It's who is going to use these things, who's going to accept these things, more importantly, right? Who's going to allow the use of this digital asset behind the scenes of their transactions. That's what's important in this wave that you're in right now, that we're sitting here talking about right now, talking about what it is, how it is you're going to get out someday, right? This is what you need to think about. Why are you going to get out of the new world currencies, the new world assets, the digital economy, the future economy? Why would you go back into the old economy? I mean, here's the thing. I understand you have bills to pay, you have things that you want to buy, but realize, do you want to be the Bitcoin pizza guy in 2030? Somebody who went and bought a Lambo with your fat earnings from this wave, when you could have just waited 4 to 8 years, and that Lambo could have been a private island? Legitimately. think about the value that this market has and how early you are to this revolution. Now, there's going to be some crazy gains in this wave, but have no doubt, after this wave, there will still be several more, and there will be so much room to add multipliers in the tens to hundreds onto what you had made just from this coming bull run, right? However long it lasts. Those gains, add 100x to it. Add a 10 to 1000x, play in that range. 100x is middle of the field, basically. Play a 10 to 1000x on top of what you will make between now and the end of 2020. That's the green duck. And make sure that you're focusing on the attributes that are important to the green duck. That way that you don't undershoot the potential of this particular duck, this particular opportunity. Now, price points is something that everybody asks me about. If I gave you price points, that would, my personal price points, that would corrupt your ability to rationalize where this is going for yourself, right? Now, I've created a video that you can go watch where I say what I think the price could be if we see essentially 14% utility adoption by Ripple's current partners by 2022. All right? And so you can take that figure and assume that that's probably a good baseline for where after this bull run ends, where XRP's price will find some degree of stability. And if it's not at that price by 2022, it's probably undervalued still. It's probably still got room to run by 2022 if it's not at that value, right? So that's stuff to keep in mind for what we're going to see. And again, I'm saying 2022 because I don't know how rapidly we're going to really lift off past our previous all-time high. There's the joke that XRP is consolidation king because it just seems to keep moving sideways and doesn't seem to want to really break major ranges like Bitcoin seems to. But there's also a lot of major gaps in resistance support ranges for XRP that once it breaks out of a lot of this lower range stuff, the sky really becomes a limit really quick. So it's kind of a strange crypto to follow when you get into the way that it behaves on charts and how its technical analysis works out. But it does have a lot of rhyme behind it. There's a lot of rhyme behind the way that its price moves, and I find it really fascinating, actually. But that's another topic for another day. I hope that this contained enough information and insight into how I am ordering my ducks, right? I don't intend to get out. I intend to distribute my earnings from the coins that I have the majority of my investment right now in, distribute that amongst, well, first, if I need to, I will move that into stable assets to preserve the wealth through the bear market that will absolutely come after this green duck is done, right? After this opportunity's presented itself and is now, just another yellow duck. Warning, invest at your own risk, right? As sights become set on that middle duck, and then he'll become the green duck, right? At that point, then we'll be able to say, okay, what's the next wave look like? Who's going to be the big deal then? And then we can start worrying about who we're going to invest in, right? I can make projections about what comes in that wave, but I don't know yet because we haven't seen this wave take off yet. We don't know yet who the big winners in this wave really are going to be. Not yet. Soon maybe, just not yet. And so that's all I can give you for now as far as ordering your ducks. I hope that you were able to find some degree of inspiration for how you want to approach this market. If this wasn't what you wanted to hear, if you were wanting somebody to explain to you how to pull multiple millions of dollars out by splitting your funds across multiple exchanges and multiple USD off-ramps, or whatever currency you possess off-ramps, I can't really do that because everybody out there in the world is different. This is a global platform. People from around the world are listening to me. It's actually crazy when I look at my analytics and see how many people from all over the world are watching. It's really cool. I really am blown away by how many people in so many different regions are tuning in. It's really cool. But at any rate, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you for listening this far if you've made it here. If you have, please be sure to hit that like for me. You've obviously at least enjoyed listening to my rambling, so maybe consider hitting that subscribe and ringing that bell so that you can be notified whenever I decide to go ramble again. My content's almost always going to be focused around XRP, but I do like to branch out and talk about other crypto projects that I see prospects in. So, with all that said, I've been Jade Martian. You've been watching the XRP Martian Report, and I can't wait to see you and all my XRP Martians in my next video on Mars.